Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is EV Comics, and welcome to another update for Little Miss Steel. Now, I know some people have been patiently awaiting and impatiently awaiting the release of this. I've talked a little bit about the delays, why it's been delayed, and it's all related to me trying to sell this thing as a physical print. Unfortunately, that's just not very viable right now for me. And the company that I was trying to get to work with me, unfortunately, has not responded at all. So I've been forced to basically go the route of digital. Now, that's nothing new for me. I started doing comics. Demonico was my first comic told. It was basically just a book with pictures, but it has its own merits, right? I got to practice my writing for the first time on something, and it was very helpful. I enjoyed it. I think the story is good, and I would love to make that a full comic someday. But the most important part is that it introduced me to Webtoon, and not only that, but Tapiz, Global Comics, and I dipped my toes in all three of those platforms. Those are the three major platforms for web comics for you to read. And the good thing is about all three of those, for you guys, is that this is free. That's right, Little Miss Steel is free. It's going to be completely from start of the first issue to end of the first issue. It's going to be free. Now, where it goes from there is completely up to you guys. You know, if this is a big success, I'll continue to release it. I've already begun preparation for Little Miss Steel 2. But if the reception is not so good, I'll move on to the next project. And the next project will probably be remaking Demonico as a full on comic, just like this, or at least a pilot comic to concept. You know, just to pitch at different studios. And that's kind of the main goal with Little Miss Steel, anyway. Is that, you know, if it's successful enough, I can pitch it to another comic book company that could maybe assign an artist to this and have me in a writing position, so that this way I'm not having to double dip on this as well as triple dip on publisher duty, right? So let's go ahead and talk about Little Miss Steel as a digital comic. Now, what can you expect? Well, this is a little sneak peek behind the scenes of how Webtoon works. And basically, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the sort of summary of it, which you might have seen before, but for those who are not initiated, this is going to be your intro to what Little Miss Steel is. And it's also going to show you a little bit of how the comic looks on digital platforms. So, without further ado, let's start with the summary. Little Miss Steel. As the secret daughter of two superheroes, V's life is more miserable than you might expect. Her parents are never home, leading her to resent them and dream of moving far away from Arizona. When he's actually home for once, her father forces a superhero life upon her, but V just wants to hit the big time in her friend's new metal band. Very 2000s coded, very 90s coded too. However, when a drastic event happens in a 16-year-old's life, she may be forced to learn how to use the steel skin powers inherited from her mother. And as you can see from the comic, you've got the comic cover here, the vertical thumbnail that you'll see whenever you're scrolling and searching for this. You will see Miss Steel, her mom, and Night Vision, her dad. And then, of course, the central character is V, Little Miss Steel, the namesake of the series. So, with that being said, I want to show you a little sneak peek to how this comic will look on Webtoon. So now this is a little bit of a preview. You might see that these images look a little familiar because if you've read the novelization of Little Miss Steel, you'll see that these are newspaper cutouts that I used for the prologue for that series. And with Tapiz, which is where I posted the novelization, that allows you to post up to 5 images per chapter. And that's basically how I got around the fact that, you know, it's a novel, but I wanted to add in those images, right? So, and I also do character banners as well for all the characters. I add those into the novelization as well. So, with this, you get to see the newspaper cutout. You might be noticing something is missing, and that's the actual dialogue of the newspaper articles. I cut the dialogue because I thought that might be a bit too boring for people who are used to comics. You know, people want to go on Webtoon and go to comics for comics, not a book reading experience. So I decided to just cut it down because ultimately the images do work with just the titles of the articles, right? And even in some cases, like this next one, it shows you exactly what Little Miss, not Little Miss Steel, but Miss Steel is getting up to in the 80s. You've got her crash landing on Earth. People, the masses are confused about what she could be. Is she an alien or like a Russian weapon experiment? Because it's always Russian. You got the military tank here. She's picking it up, throwing it around. You've got this guy running away. And then over here, scroll a little bit further down, you get to see her fighting a criminal. He's clearly a criminal because he's got the face mask, a crowbar. He's up to no good, and she's putting him out, knocking a tooth out, actually. And this artwork, by the way, I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again because I love giving credit. Sixus, you can find him on DeviantArt. He does artwork more similar to anime and even some 80s comic style, which is what I wanted him to do for this. I wanted him to make this look like something from the 80s, and because that's when it takes place, is the 80s. So he did a phenomenal job with that. This next one, Miss Steel added to the Mighty Five. You got the cutout of the article title with the image from it, where you get to see Miss Steel joining hands with Night Vision back in the day. This kind of gives you an idea of what how the relationship between them began. And then, Miss Steel is prego. You get to see the little paparazzi photo cameras, and the flash is on and everything, and she's trying to hide her face and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's just like a classic media frenzy right now. So that serves as the prologue, and then we scroll down, we see the title, and continuing to scroll further down, you get to see the cartoony style that I go for with all of my artwork, which is to replicate 2000s cartoons and even some 90s stuff, and try and bring that to life in the form of a comic. I really feel like that style has kind of gone away in recent years. The action cartoon style has gone away, and I like to bring that back in my stuff. So you can scroll down, you get to see the look of it and everything. It is a continuous vertical scroll. So you get to see some of this artwork, and all this artwork has been revealed before. It's in the Discord. You can see some teaser artwork. I'm not afraid to go a little funny with the facial expressions and stuff like that. I'm not afraid to make it sometimes chibi as well, stuff like that. So you get to see a little bit of the artwork here. A tease that V is basically, she's using her powers. She knows how to use them, but she doesn't really use them for combat. She just sort of uses them for everyday convenience, and especially for this case where she makes herself stronger by turning her hand to steel. She's getting a good grip on the bar. She's also basically making herself heavier, so it's less likely for her to go smushing her face into the back of the bus, right? So I'll scroll a little bit farther and try and get you a little bit here of the interior. You get to see them in the house a little bit, right? You get to see how her home life is, and you can actually scroll up the giant finger, classic cartoon thing, exaggerated proportions and facial expressions, stuff like that. But you get to see a glimpse of her home life. It's clearly not that good because she's living in a rundown trailer, despite having superhero parents. Like it's like why are they living in a trailer? Well, it's kind of explained in this a little bit, but it's basically they're trying, her dad and mom are basically trying to get her to move to the superhero base instead of living a normal life. It's their sort of way of saying, we're not technically forcing you, but we're making your life worse. So the art is overgrown, all that kind of stuff. You get to see Miss Steel. She's home. She's actually trying to clean. She's actually trying to make the place a little more livable, which gives you an idea of the differences between her and Night Vision, V's father. Whereas Night Vision is totally fine with making it terrible for V to live here. Her mom is trying to be a little more soft with it. So with that being said, I will scroll to another moment here. Let me just pause this display real quick, and I don't want to spoil anything specifically. There's only a little bit of action scenes that I want to show off here without spoiling anything. All right, so I think I got it back. Let's go back to the other scene, and you get to see some action. So here's a little taste of what the action in Little Miss Steel looks like. So not overly crowded. There's not, the characters aren't talking, paragraphs at a time in every panel. Instead, sometimes it's just 2 words on a page because, well, the actions speak louder than the words. Detaches his freaking arm to fly at her, and you see at each panel from left to right, it's getting closer until it's on her face and dragging her through the ground and rocks here. So that is basically a glimpse of what Little Miss Steele looks like. I hope you're excited for it. It is dropping July 1st, and again, this will be on Webtoon, Tapas, and Global Comics. So get ready for that. I really think you guys will enjoy it, especially if you miss the 2000s and even the 90s way of storytelling through animation. If you miss that age of cartoons, the mixture of action, humor, exaggerated, proportions and stuff like that, just to make a scene even funnier. If you've missed that kind of stuff, if you've missed good character writing, if you've missed great storytelling in the style of a 2000s cartoon, I think you will love Little Miss Steele. And again, it's free! Of course, you can support me on Ko-Fi. All proceeds will go to my brother, who has been out of work for nearly a year due to cancer. I would greatly appreciate if you donated on Ko-Fi for this. Links will be on each website that Little Miss Steele is on. You will be able to go to the Ko-Fi from any of those places, and even this video if you want to as well. So, thanks so much for tuning in and following the development of Little Miss Steele. I am planning on doing physical releases, limited amounts that are signed copies. I'm thinking just to start off, 50 copies that are signed by me, and if it blows up from there, if it exceeds expectations, then I can do some more in the future perhaps. But we shall see. The future is yet to be determined. So, till next time, peace out.